Welcome to our JavaScript web course. In this video, we will look at some commonly used JavaScript operators and how they would be used with a simple if or if-else conditional statement. There are several different categories of operators. We have arithmetic operators, which are your traditional add, subtract, multiply, divide. We also have the assignment operator. You have seen this already when we declare variables and set a value. We have comparison operators, which compare two or more things. Are they equal, not equal, greater than, less than, greater than, etc. We have logical operators, and, or, not. We also have a bitwise operator, which is not being used in this class, an increment operator, which will be covered later, and other special operators, which will be covered as we encounter them. The addition operator would be used for adding values. Notice that it is also used for concatenation. So if one of those values is a string, it will concatenate them rather than add them. We have the minus sign for division, we have the asterisk for multiplication, and we have the / for division. We also have the add and assign operator. So if we were going to declare a number, num equals 200, and add a value of 100 to that, you might do it this way. Num equals num plus 100. Rather than repeating the variable name twice, you can use the add and assign operator. So here we have num plus equals 100, and what that's saying is we add 100 to the current value of num, and the value of num will now be that value, which would be 300. We have 6 different comparison operators, but actually more if you use the strict version. First of all, we have equals to. Is something equal to something else? Rather than thinking of it as being equal, you should think of that as being the same. Are two values the same? Because we may not be necessarily comparing numbers. The operator used is the double equal sign, equal, equal. We also have is not equal to or is not the same, and the operator exclamation point equal. The strict equal and the strict non-equal. The strict equal, 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 that is the operator. And what that does, it not only compares are both things the same, it also compares the data type. Do they have the same data type? And now we have the not equal equal strict. It determines whether they're not equal, but not just the values, but also the data type. We have greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Most of these operators you've probably seen before in math. So let's take a look at using some of these comparison operators. When you evaluate an expression using a comparison operator, it will return true or false. Based on that returning true or false, you probably will do something in your program. So here we have 2 less than or equal to 5. Pretty easy to figure that one out. It is true. Here we have 2 in quotations equal equals 2. Now, because JavaScript is comparing the surface value, a string 2 looks the same as a number 2, it will evaluate to true. However, if we use the strict comparison, equal, 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 this time it will return false because it is also comparing the data type, and even though they look the same, they do not have the same data type. Now let's look at this expression. In parentheses, 2 plus 2, not equal to, in parentheses, 3 plus 3. So 2 plus 2 is 4, 3 plus 3 is 6, 4 is not equal to 6, pretty obvious that is true. These are some examples that you might see using comparison operators. We have three logical operators, and, or, and not. And means both sides of the condition are true, or means one or the other is true. Not means it is not true. Again, the logical operators will evaluate an expression and return true or false. So here we have two conditions. 1 equals 1 and 2 equals 2. Okay, the condition on the left, that is true. The condition on the right, that is true. Because this is an and logical operator, both conditions must be true, which they are. Therefore, this evaluates to true. And you could have 3 or more conditions being evaluated at the same time. Okay, the second example here. 1 equals 1 and 3 equals 2. The condition on the left is true. The condition on the right is not true. Therefore, this condition returns false because they both have to be true. The next example, 1 equals 1 or 2 equals 3. The expression on the left is true. The expression on the right is false. Because this is an or, only one of them has to be true, so therefore this expression would evaluate true. The next one, 1 equals 2 or 3 equals 2, both of these are not true, therefore the entire expression is false. Okay, the not. This is a little tricky because it uses kind of a reverse logic. And by the way, if you're in doubt, you can use the JavaScript console that is located with the browser's inspect tools to evaluate these conditions to find out for yourself. Okay, not in parentheses 2 equals 3. That is saying, is this condition not true? Or is this expression not true? And yes, this expression is not true because 2 does not equal 3. Let's take a look at the next one. And in parentheses, 2 is not equal to 3. And on the outside of that, we have the exclamation point. All right, so they're asking you, is this not true? Okay, no, it's false because it is true. 2 is not equal to 3. So watch these negatives. They can be a little confusing. When using arithmetic operators, there is an order of precedence. JavaScript does read from left to right. However, certain operators will take precedence and be executed over the others. Here is the order of precedence, parentheses. Anything inside parentheses is evaluated first. And in the event that you were working with an expression, I suggest using parentheses to group things so that you know the order in which you want them to be evaluated. Parentheses first, exponents next, multiplication next, then comes division, addition, and subtraction. Let me show you how JavaScript will evaluate this. First of all, we're going to evaluate what's in the parentheses. So here we have 2 plus 2, which evaluates to 4. And over here we have 10 minus 5, which evaluates to 5. All right, so that's the first thing JavaScript's going to do. All right, there are no exponents here. Okay, we do have multiplication. We have 2 times 4. All right, that's going to be evaluated to 8. So this is what we have so far. We have a 4 and an 8 and a 5. What comes after multiplication? Division. All right, we have a division up here. We have 8 divided by 5. And that's going to give us a value of 1.6. What's left? Okay, here's our addition. We're adding 4 to that. And that equals 5.6. Again, you can copy this, put it in the console, hit the Enter key, and it's going to tell you what the result is. Again, Use the parentheses when you have long, complicated expressions so that it evaluates in the order in which you want it to evaluate. We also have an order of precedence when using logical operators. Again, you can have several logical operators existing in one expression. The order of precedence, not is evaluated first, then comes and, then comes or. So here we have just two operators, an and and an or. So first we evaluate the and. So on the left of the and we have 2 equals 2, and that returns true. On the right of the and we have 2 not equal to 4, which it's not, and that's going to return true. So essentially what we have is we have a true on the left side of the or now, and now we have an expression on the or which we need to evaluate. This expression on the right-hand side of the or is being evaluated with the result of what was on the left-hand side of the or. On the right of the or we have a false. So because this is an or, only one condition needs to be true. We have a false on the right, a true on the left. Therefore, the result of this expression is true. Again, you can put this in the console and it will tell you. In JavaScript, we have a special value that could be returned in an arithmetic operation, which is called not a number. And the JavaScript keyword is capital N, lowercase a, capital N. So here I have an example. I'm setting the value for X to book, which is a string. I'm setting the value for Y to a numeric 20. If I try to multiply these two values, it is impossible to do so. You cannot multiply a number and a string. Therefore, it would return NaN, not a number. However, if I were to try to add those two values, JavaScript would concatenate them because the plus operator is also the concatenator operator when you are working with string values. Most of the time, you would be using conditional and logical operators with a conditional statement. So we are going to look at two simple conditional statements, the first being a simple if condition. I have 3 variables here. Num1 is 100, num2 is 200. Result is initialized to an empty string because we don't know the value yet. Here is the syntax for a simple else conditional statement. We have the keyword if, and in parentheses we have the condition that we are evaluating. Notice I have a comparison operator here. We learned that comparison and logical operators ultimately return true or false. So what we are doing, we are testing this condition to see whether it is true or false. If the condition is true, the code inside the curly braces will execute. If the condition is not true, nothing will happen, using a simple if shown here. Notice the syntax. We have the keyword if, the opening and closing parentheses where our condition is placed, the left-hand curly brace, the right-hand curly brace, inside the statements to be executed if the condition is true. Statements end in a semicolon. There are no semicolons anywhere else here. We also have an if-else conditional statement. Sometimes you want code to execute if the condition is not true. So here we have the same scenario, except that my condition is changed. Inside my if, the condition is num1 equals num2, and it does not. So in this case, the condition is not true. But we have an else, so that code inside the else will execute if the condition is not true. So either way, something will happen based on the condition evaluating to either true or false.